Were you involved in the casting, or did you kind of in audition or anything work with Sophie, or was she presented to you as the new companion?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
No, what happened was, yes, that season they knew that Bonnie was going to leave, because I think that was part of the tradition. She would leave in the next season, I think. And so each story, they were trying out a new young companion. But then something happened, and then suddenly Bonnie was leaving on that particular story. What was it called?
Dragonfire.
Yeah.
Well, it was the last one.
What?
She didn't have any more left to leave.
Did she not?
On. No.
All right. Oh, well, anyway, she was leaving in Dragonfire. I didn't realise that. I thought she was going to leave next season, halfway through. Anyway.
She was. She might have been.
Yeah.
But then she wasn't. She was, and then she wasn't.
Then she didn't.
And then she didn't.
And then she left.
But they were trying out companions.
Yes. So they were trying out companions. And anyway, so then they came to me and said, "Oh, what do you think? Bonnie's leaving, and what do you think of Sophie and as a new companion?" And I went, "Oh, God." And then said yes, and that was it, really.
So, Sophie, can you tell us then about your involvement with the role? You were incredibly young at the time. I mean, obviously, bearing in mind how many years later, you must have been, sort of 10 or 11.
Thank you.
And can you tell us about how you became involved with the show, at what point, and how that kind of worked out?
Yeah, sure. I was up in Manchester doing Fiddler on the Roof and heading in a sort of career in musical theatre, really, with Topol in the back row of the chorus. And went
Wait,
down...
he was in the back row of the chorus? Wow.
Yeah, we swapped. I started playing Tevye, actually.
That wouldn't surprise me.
Anyway. Thanks. That's a slight reference to how bossy I am. Anyway, yeah, so they were looking for somebody who could ride a motorbike and who could play 16, even though I was, 24 at the time. And so I went down for an audition, I met the director, and then got a recall a couple of weeks later and went and met John Nathan Turner in his office, which was full of Doctor Who memorabilia. Do you remember the office?
Yes.
Dalek curtains.
And smoke.
And smoke, yes, read smoke. Couldn't have that now. And then
Alcohol.
on the wall there was this big sort of display cabinet with merchandise in it, which was amazing. And right in the middle was a pair of those 1970s Tom Baker underpants with Tom Baker right in the strategic position.
And you had a big nose.
So that was quite impressive, and I thought, oh well, I've met him anyway. At least I've met,
See,
been.
it shows you different
into
priorities. I went in, there was a row of videotapes, so I'll have those.
There you go.
I just remember it was red. Just the
It
whole
was
thing
very
was
red.
a red.
Very, very
room.
red. It was very, very strange. Everyone else had a this was Threshold House, which was essentially just an office block. And it was where all the television drama. You went into everybody else's office, there was just desks and chairs, and it was like really, very boring. And you went into his office, and it was like red with memorabilia all over.
Yeah, themed.
A themed office.
Sophie, how familiar were you with the show before you joined it?
Well, I'd watched it as a child, obviously. Everybody did, didn't we? And, John Pertwee and the maggots and all that. And but I didn't really even know that it was still going when I went up for the part. So, friends would sort of joke with me and said, oh, yeah, Doctor Who's girl. And then I couldn't believe it. I actually got the part without any screen test, without ever having been in a TV studio. And again, it was John Nathan Turner, this hunch he had. He just, I don't know, he thought I'd be good. And I went for 3 episodes of Dragonfire, and then halfway through, I remember Tony Selby, who was playing one of the characters in Dragonfire, saying, I'll tell you what, Soph, you'd be a great companion for the Doctor. You'd be really... And I had in the back of my mind, because I'd been cast for 3 episodes, but maybe, perhaps, they wanted me to be the new companion, which was just unbelievable. And then they did, actually, the first day in studio, I remember, for Dragonfire, John Nathan Turner coming down from the gallery, those fire escape steps, blink, 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 lit up a fag in the studio, which again, who'd have thought it, and said, well, we're on if you're on. And I took that to mean that I'd got the part. And then, of course, when I told Tony, see, that was me. I told you. Yeah, there you are. And then we had the last scene where Bonnie was meant to be staying and I was meant to be leaving with glitz was hastily rewritten in the T-bar on the back of a napkin, I think.
was actually done.
And you insisted, didn't you, on having that farewell speech, because they hadn't written anything for Bonnie and you.
No, they just said, well, Bonnie leaves, bye. And I thought, you can't do that. I mean, the Doctor has been, with Mel as Colin and as myself, and there was a great relationship, and she couldn't be allowed just to walk out the TARDIS door.
But that was written by Andrew Carmer. It was one of the audition pieces.
Yeah, it goes back to one of those audition
I saw
pieces.
that and thought that was really good, that audition piece. And then when it turned up in Dragonfire, I thought that was clever.
Yeah.
Recycling there.
Well, it was, but he was forced to because I insisted. No, you can't. There's got to be some emotional kind of goodbye, and we said, what about the one that we did way back for the screen test, and that's how it came in, really.
It's a lovely speech. I love that Days of Paving.
Yeah.
Paving speech.
Great stuff.